Civil War is a movie that came out a couple months ago to some very interesting reviews. Now, of course, most people probably watch more well-known movie reviewers give a brief consensus, which is weird because they said it's low-key kind of trash, right? But when you look at the reviews, Rotten Tomatoes is 81, 75, 7.2. Otherwise saying pretty good film. Not obviously not the best, but it is an enjoyable watch. Now, of course, I skipped out on the movie because I watched the review and they said, it's not the best movie. And I was like, all right, whatever. I guess it saves me a little bit of money. But then, I mean, it would have been better to watch it anyways because why not? But then someone I know texted me saying, hey, have you watched Civil War yet? I was like, no, because the reviewer said it was trash. He said, that's weird because I watched it and I liked it. I was like, all right, whatever. But anywho, Civil War is a A24 film, which is completely different from the A24 films I do watch, which are mostly horror. But it obviously revolves around the other universe where America gets into a civil war. You have the Western faction, which most people, that was kind of what most people were talking about, that being California and Texas forming an alliance, which many people say, that don't make sense at all. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't. But then again, we'll just have to pretend it's a different universe. I mean, it is a different universe, obviously. We just have to pretend that Texas and California obviously have enough in common where they think, hey, we're two of the biggest powerhouses in the United States. If we team up, it's basically a slam dunk. We're going to win. But anyway, it revolves around the journalists being a girl named Jessie, Lee Smith, and some other people. And they're trying to get this, also some dude named Sammy. He's the old guy. But anywho, they're trying to get to the president's place, the White House, to get an interview. Why? Because, well, it's like the one thing that most people don't do. But anywho, they drive around. They have the little hijinks. Some death happens, obviously. And of course, it is a social commentary. Because it's A24. But at the end of the day, I don't get it. I don't know. I'm not that type of guy to do this type of stuff. Because all I got was, hey, war is bad. Like, yeah, we all know that. Because obviously it shows them committing war crimes all willy-nilly. But it also kind of shows some other things. Like how people cope with the fact that their country is in a war. Because, America's seen as the impenetrable country. Blocked by water and blocked by allies. Obviously very hard to get past the defenses. But obviously once it's inside, now all hell breaks loose. But anywho, the first hijink is of course the gas station scene. Of course it shows the gas station employees all armed. Why? Because, well, it's Civil War. There are very little rations going around, very little supplies. Obviously most of it is getting sent to the military. So people come in and try to rob them, and they had to capture them. And let's just say they tortured them. So yeah. But also another one shows how badly the war affected the economy, because they said, hey, I'm trying to buy a tank of gas and 2 more canisters. And they're like, all right, whatever, how much you got? $300. And they're like, only $300. That could barely buy a sandwich. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she's like, oh, 300 Canadian. Like, oh, okay, now we talking. 300 Canadian. Goddamn, I never see the day where Canadians were better than us. But anywho, it obviously shows the new photographer, Jesse, or new journalist, who obviously is struggling with the brutality of the situation. Obviously seeing 2 people being not hanged, but being held up by ropes and being tortured, or have been tortured. And obviously it doesn't really sit well with them. But one of the biggest complaints that I have about the movie is that the besides the end scene, all the little battle skirmishes is always between like 6 people. What? I thought that was Civil War, and I get it. It's a A24 film. Most of the time, they do not have a very high budget. But at the same time, I don't know. It didn't really feel war-like. But anywho, that was only one specific scene. That's the scene where people make fun of them because some dude gets shot trying to hide behind smoke, and the smoke barely gets above his knees. So I was like, okay, that's a little funny, right? But we do get some more scenes about the coping. That being a little town where it literally looks like nothing happened. It looks perfectly intact. There's people walking their dogs, and obviously, in a time of war, walking your dog as nonchalantly as she did is a luxury. And they tell the store clerk, hey, don't you all know there's a civil war going on? Which is the dumbest thing you could say, because of course they know there's a civil war. They're not Amish. No offense to the Amish, but I don't think they could use radios. Can they use radios? I don't know. I'm sorry to the Amish. But they ask her, hey, don't you know that there's a civil war going on? So you're like, yeah, of course we know there's a civil war going on. We just choose to ignore it. Which is its own thing because, well, I mean, what are you going to do? You're just hoping that your side or your faction gets the job done. But it's also a little weird because as we get later on into the film, it shows military personnel or rogue militia, I don't know. So there's army people and then there's other people who are active combatants who commit war crimes, basically. And there's one where they have a whole truck full of dead bodies, but we'll talk about that later, right? Because after that, we get the infamous sniper scene, which everyone's all like, probably is where a lot of commentary is. There's two people, one with a sniper, obviously, waiting out because they're stuck because of a sniper in a building. He already killed one of them. That's why he said, oh, yeah, he has a good shot, so we're hiding. It's not like we can run. But they're all like, oh, what side are you on? Like, it doesn't really matter. He's trying to kill us, and we're trying to kill him. Which, of course, is, so don't get me wrong, makes sense. Because if someone's trying to kill you, it don't even matter what side they're on because they're trying to kill you. It's like, bruh, leave me alone. But they finally get him. Whatever. But another scene is where they camp out in a little refugee camp. I don't know what it's called, but it's a camp where people try to live their day-to-day lives. Obviously, they can't because it's in the middle of an abandoned stadium, which I do think is the Steelers stadium because they drive past a thing that says "Go Steelers." So that's funny. But once again, you see people trying to keep their hopes high, or at least get their morale up. Obviously, in the time of war, very much people try to do that. Considering, I think Great Britain, I don't know if it's true, in World War II, kept theaters open because, well, you need something to do. Might as well. There's no point staying in a bomb shelter the entire time. There's only so many games of Uno you can play before you start trying to kill someone. But anywho, after that, they finally get to the president where he gets captured and killed. So, obviously, people said it's a bad film, or at least it's a very boring film because the title is, of course, Civil War, and a lot of people expect an actual war type film and not journalism and all that stuff. Which, don't get me wrong, it makes sense. It's a valid complaint. You go into a thing where a poster is literally people with snipers on the Statue of Liberty, and that thing's cool as hell. But obviously, it's not what it is. We never get a Statue of Liberty scene. But good commentary, good characters. Obviously, I forgot to say the truckload of people is another war crime because that's where a bunch of not main cast but close to the main cast characters die because, well, there's just a bunch of people there just killing civilians. Why? Because, well, in war, basically ain't nobody, I don't know, putting them or really punishing them, obviously. But anywho, so the people that unfortunately die is Tony and his good friend I think that's his name. And of course, Sammy, the fat guy, who was kind of there just to, keep morale up, kind of, and be like, hey, man, you shouldn't go there. They're obviously killing civilians, so what the hell do you think you're going to do? And they did kill civilians. Bad part is Sammy died. Weird thing is, when they're driving away, because he straight up runs over the guys with guns, the car is facing forward, and the back is to the gunman. And the gunman starts shooting, and somehow Sammy gets shot from the front. Or from the side, technically. But it's like, how the hell did the bullet even get there? And then he dies, which is sad. Of course, another ones are like, oh, why did he kill someone? Like, oh, he said he's from Hong Kong and he gets shot. It's like, I'm going to kill them anyways. It doesn't even matter where you're from. Where you from? Oh, man, I'm from Canada. Dead. But anywho, yeah, it's a good film. I do think the percentage is correct. I do think it's like a 7.5, somewhere around there. It's a good film. Definitely enjoyable. But, I don't know. I didn't really get a nice feel of the world, the world building. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But also, I have some complaints about it. It's alright. Not my cup of tea. The beginning and the end, very good. The middle, decent. Yeah, it's good. But anywho, hope you enjoy this video. Civil War is actually a pretty good movie. Would I recommend it? I mean, it's not even in theaters anymore. But, hey, if you got streaming, yeah, it's a good movie. It's a short 1 hour and 50 minutes, was obviously it's probably not that short, but it is a very nice film. And that's the end of the video, and hope to catch you in the next one.
Incoming!